Hey everybody, I thought we were going to do a little bit of practice on this on Tuesday, but it looks like the snow and cold had other ideas. So what I want to do is just take a few minutes and just walk you through how to do the dimensional analysis problem. These problems that you're going to be doing on this worksheet have a variety of different conversion factors, but you're going to do the exact same thing for every single problem. On the worksheet you've got, the first one's done for you, but I'm going to talk through how to set those up so you can just hear it one more time. So number one says, how many inches are there in a football field, which is 100 yards. Remember, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. Be sure when you're doing these problems, you're looking for the conversion factors that are given to you in the problems. As you get toward the end of the worksheet, you'll see that sometimes you have to actually go forward and find some of the conversion factors that are given here on the front. So we start this problem out by first identifying what is the known. Well, we're trying to find how many inches there are in a football field, which is 100 yards. So my known is 100 yards. I want to be sure that I'm putting the unit with the number. My unknown is going to be, I'm going to convert that to inches. So the first thing is you always do is you do your factor label table, and your known always goes in the top of the first box. So 100 yards. If I have yards on the top, I'm going to need yards on the bottom. So now I'm going to go to my conversion factor and I'm going to find yard. It's right there. The number 1 is next to it. So 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. Now I'm done with that conversion factor. I'm never going to need to use that conversion factor again. Once you use it in a problem, you're not going to need to use it again in the same problem. Now if I have feet on the top, I'm going to need feet on the bottom of the next one. And I can see I've got 1 foot here. So 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. I'm just going to abbreviate inches. Now what I'm going to do in my calculator, I'm going to press the fraction button, which is the button that looks like this. And I'm going to enter the numbers like this. Everything on the top is going to be multiplied together. So 100 times 3 times 12. And on the bottom, I've got ones. So technically, you'd go 1 times 1. You put that in the calculator, and you're going to get your answer. Which, hang on a second, I forgot to draw the calculator. All right, when you put that in the calculator, you got 3,600. And I have to be sure that I put my unit, which is going to be that final unit of inches. And then I'm going to circle it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one, because this is all going to be the same sort of problem. How many walking paces are there approximately as you walk down Main Street, which is 0.25 miles. So I'm looking in the question. It's giving me a bunch of conversion factors, which I'll use later. In the question itself, my known is 0.25 miles. My unknown is this unit walking paces. I'm going to just call it WP for walking paces. So I'm going to start with my known on the top of my factor label table. 25 miles goes on the top. If I have miles on the top, I need miles on the bottom. So I'm going to look at all 3 of my conversion factors, and I can see that right here, I've got one that has mile in it. So there's my 1 mile. Mile has to go on the bottom. Is equal to 5,280 feet. I'm going to abbreviate feet. Now, I'm not to walking paces yet, so I have to keep going with this problem. I'm going to need another spot for my factor label table. If I've got feet on the top, I'm going to need feet on the bottom. And I can see right here I've got 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. I've got inches on the top. I'm not to walking paces yet, so I need to use this last conversion factor. If I have inches on the top, I'm going to need inches on the bottom, and there's 22 inches to 1 walking pace. So I'm going to take my calculator again. I'm going to press that fraction button, if I can talk, that's got 2 boxes, one above it and one on the bottom. Now, across the top, I've got 0.25 times 5,280 times 12 times 1. On the bottom here, I'm going to have 1 times 1 times 22. I'm going to put that in my calculator using that button. So 0.25 times 5,280 times 12 times 1. I'm going to use the little button there to drop down to the bottom. And it's going to be 1 times 1 times 22. I press the equal sign. And I get 720 walking paces. I'm going to circle that since I have to. Some of these problems will get kind of long, so it's a good idea to start them as far over to the left-hand side as you can. All right, I hope this really short tutorial helped you out and just reminded you of a few things. All of these problems should be very straightforward for you to do. As you get going, they get a little bit more complicated. Let's jump down to this one because it doesn't have set conversion factors. We'll do number 7 together. So it says Houston has approximately million people. Each person has 2 hands, and each hand has 5 fingers. How many fingers are in Houston? So my known is how many people? 2, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3 people. That's my unit. My unknown is going to be fingers. So I'm going to start with my factor label table with my known. People. If I have people on the top, I'm going to need people on the bottom. So if I look here, each person has 2 hands. Well, that's a conversion factor. So 1 person equals 2 hands. So 1 person, 2 hands. So now I have hands on the top. I'm going to need hands on the bottom. It says each hand has 5 fingers. So 1 hand equals 5 fingers. So if I have hands on the top, I'm going to need hands on the bottom. 1 hand, 5 fingers. Again, I'm going to grab my calculator. I've got fingers, which is my final unit. So 2, oops, got to put in my fraction button. 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3 times 2 times 5. Drop down to the bottom and put 1 times 1. Put that in, and it's going to be, hang on, I must have hit a button wrong. Let me just put that back in. 2, 1, 2, 3 times 2 times 5. There we go. So 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 fingers. Now, there are obviously other ways to solve this problem, but the most important part of this whole process is the fact that you're using the factor label table. That's what I'm going to be looking for in your root work. Every single one of these problems, you have to use the factor label table. You can't do any other method. I don't want to see a whole bunch of fractions multiplied together. I just want to see you using this factor label table. It's the only way I'll accept your work. Make sure you've got your knowns and unknowns. You've got your answer with your unit and circle it. All right, hope that was helpful.